Hey, it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today, zooming in on the concept of supply. The person who is targeted by the narcissist, the one who is sussed out, the one who is sized up and selected for being victimized, set up to be exploited, set up as the scapegoat, set up to be as the one who's been basically singled out for a tool essentially of abuse. And I know that this is a very painful topic. It's a very difficult topic to discuss. However, it's so important, I think, in healing to understand really the role of a narcissist in a narcissistic abuse. It's very difficult to describe. It's very difficult to pinpoint because it's emotional in nature. And oftentimes, you can't point to it like a physical bruise. You can't point to it like being beaten. A lot of people have tried to perhaps, videotape narcissistic abuse, record phone calls and things of this nature. But, chances are it has occurred over a certain amount of time. And this abuse has accrued. It's accumulated and caused a situation basically of injury, basically of emotional pain, which can be very crippling to the person who has been scapegoated, the person who has been, caught up in this trap of abuse. And so this is really a video to describe the role of supply and really part of the process that the narcissist, either a covert or overt narcissist, will utilize to keep people in their life that serve this function. So supply is basically a source of ego fulfillment for the narcissist. So the narcissist personality disorder is someone who exhibits an extreme amount of self-absorption and self-interest. They exhibit quite a bit of grandiose thoughts, grandiose behaviors, and they are willing to exploit and take advantage of others in order to achieve these ends. And this is where we start to understand the role of supply. So now, the narcissist personality disordered individual, not only do they come in with this sort of superior, haughty sort of attitude about themselves, but they also lack they also have a key personality component, which is a lack of empathy. And brain scans have been shown in neuroscience that the brains of those who are diagnosed with narcissist personality disorder exhibit a certain lack of, they show thinning in the brain areas, specifically the interior, in particular the insula anterior, I'm getting a tongue twist here. The interior, the insula anterior. I'll post it on this here, and also the amygdala as well, where they show a thinning of the gray matter. They show a slowed activity of the amygdala, which is the area of the brain which is there to process emotions, specifically that of empathy. And empathy is essentially gives us the ability as human beings to understand, relate to, and comprehend really the emotions, feelings, needs, and wishes of another. In other words, it's an ability to have compassion. When someone empathizes with you, they get where you're coming from. They understand what you've been through. They feel your pain. They feel your emotions. They relate to what had gone on with you. They're able to act then as a source of support and identification, and they're actually able to help you work through things. So empathy is a key component to helping you work through and process, certain emotions, certain experiences. And the narcissist is shown to exhibit a lack of empathy. It's a very hallmark cardinal component of diagnosing this personality disorder. And the origins are are still very much in debate, whether they're born this way, whether their childhood had created this, but we can look at it basically in terms of a combination of nature and nurture, meaning, in other words, they could be born this way, they can also, have experienced a certain amount of trauma in their childhood, which goes to create and foster this sort of narcissist personality disorder. However, I do want to focus in on one of the key components, because in this channel here, Peace and Harmony, I want to help you understand the narcissist personality disorder, and I also want you to understand a role of supply and how the narcissist will utilize this, and also, create this knowledge form as a way for you to actually learn and, get to the other side of the abuse. So one thing I really want to emphasize is the role of shame. The shame is described by Mr. John Bradshaw as a sense that one is internally flawed. So if a shame is the experience of being ashamed, being embarrassed, but it's not even so much as being embarrassed like, oh, I made a mistake. It's like, I am, internally flawed. I am internally broken. I intrinsically, am a mistake. So the narcissist will oftentimes, not only will they be coming from this, it's thought that the narcissist is a very shame-based person, so they overinflate this sort of self-importance as a way to cover up this experience of shame. But more importantly, as John Bradshaw states, they utilize this sort of feeling, and they basically immerse or project or transfer this sort of feeling of shame onto the people in their environment who they wish to scapegoat or utilize as a source of supply. Supply is essentially a source of nourishment or ego inflation for them. So the supply is serving to help keep them in their position as superior. So whether you do it through, they need constant attention, they need constant accolades from you, they need constant approval from you, you have to constantly being applauded them. You're serving as a source of supply. You're supplying their ego needs. You're supplying the nourishment for them to keep above, and basically their supply, meaning their support, all their support basically underneath. So this feeling of shame is oftentimes transferred onto the supply. So that's what we start to really see through all their manipulation tactics. They're able to keep you down and essentially then keep themselves up, constantly in a position of power and control. And when this is internalized, when this is internalized, the victim, the source of supply, starts to experience a sort of victim mentality or a victim identity, which is huge. And we're going to be blowing that out in this channel and really taking a look at this and how this impacts, not only the relationship you have with a narcissist, but how you relate to the world. And when you start to internalize this feeling of shame, though, basically you start to essentially feel abandoned. And so this feeling of shame basically is a withdrawal. It's stating that you're not good enough, you're not worthy. So I'm withdrawing really, I'm withdrawing my attention, and I'm essentially ignoring your needs. I'm dismissing your needs. I'm dismissing your needs for communication. I'm dismissing your physical needs. And the mirroring also is another tactic that the narcissist will utilize to their supply. Mirroring is basically when you reflect back who you are. I don't know if you can see that. But it's just, for example, in a parent-child relationship, the parent will say, oh, you're such a good boy, you're such a good girl, you are wonderful, and they'll, hug them, feed them, etc. So that's a mirroring back. And it's in that mirroring that really that child learns who they are, and that they are loved, and that they are wonderful, and that they're okay as a human being. Without that mirroring, the child does not have that experience, does not have that sense. And this mirroring also can be created, this lack of positive mirroring can be created in the narcissist relationship with their supply. So rather than reflecting back who you are in a positive manner, they're reflecting back a negative mirror to you, which is inaccurate, which is a lie, which is their source of supply, because they're trying to do their crazy making, their brainwashing, their gaslighting So they're reflecting back something negative to you. They're not giving you an accurate reflection back through their communication, body language, etc., that we discuss here on this channel. So that creates that sense of shame and internalization, which is that victim mentality, which so many people suffer from. And I hope to be able to help you understand here. And the abandonment really is, created by that loss of effective mirroring. So in essence, you're in a relationship with someone who has essentially abandoned you. And that is what's so confusing, and that's what's so incredibly painful. And they accomplish this through their supply, through inattention, no eye contact, and no physical attention, among other things. So it's an act of abandoning while you're actually in a relationship with them. And then also for the supply, who has been targeted, we see a lot of the future triggers that accrue through a history of relationship with them. And these can be the flashbacks, which can be verbal and auditory, as well as visual and images. So, a lot of this really has a huge detrimental impact to people who have been victimized. And it's very hard to come out from underneath. And we have a number of different tools here on this channel, not only to help you understand and explain really the narcissist, but also to help you understand the dynamics of the personality, relationships with them, and really the inner workings of that, and then how to get out from underneath it. Please do check out a lot of my other videos, and please email me or contact me through the messages tab for more specific information if I can help you on an individual customized basis. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussions, and support.